The time is 9 minutes after 8 o'clock, right here on News and Views on Salam Media. And we are going to be talking with City of Johannesburg Deputy Director for Communications, and that is you, of course, Nthatisi Modingoane. A very, very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. Okay, I can't hear you. Please unmute. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Julie. You know technology sometimes in the morning. Yeah. Good morning, Julie, and good morning to the viewers.
Absolutely, absolutely. I understand that we're going to be you smiling, and that tells me that you're going to be sharing good news with us this morning regarding all of the drama unfolding in Johannesburg. You know, when I kind of cast my mind back, I think about the Bogsburg tanker explosion and the devastation that that caused. Then the issue with the Zamazamas, you know, the
Mm,
ongoing issue with
mm,
the
mm,
Zamazamas.
mm.
We won't even talk about Eskom. That is a volume or a couple of volumes on its own. And now we're having, you know, the situation with that supposed gas explosion in Bree Street. Um, Panyaza Lesufi is still saying that it hasn't been ultimately determined whether it was a gas explosion or not. So at this point in time, we're not sure what is the status quo as far as that situation is concerned. But that's why you're here. You're going to be
Yeah.
talking to us about it, but you're also going to be giving us a bit of good news. And what is the good news?
Yes. Yes, we can confirm that from the preliminary report that we receive, it does confirm that there is a gas that is can be smelled in that area.
Ah,
The challenge for now, as the investigation continues, is to determine what was the spark. Um, but we can confirm that it's not the E. coli gas, because when we do measurements, the E. coli gas ethane level is 2%, but the gas level that we measure there is at 0%. So we just want residents to give us some time so that at least we get to the bottom of this so that we can take processes forward. But having said that, we managed to isolate a number of possible dangerous situation in that space so that we create a safe environment for workers to move in and start with rehabilitation work. Yesterday, by midday, half of uh, the city had electricity already, and by 5 p.m. in the evening, we had reached the 100% mark in terms of restoration.
that's
The
wonderful
teams,
news. That's wonderful
the,
news. Thank you
yeah,
indeed. Well done.
the teams from Joburg Water started as well yesterday with excavation. You remember when we started, we were not sure whether we would be able to excavate speedily, um, because we were not sure of the integrity of the structure. Can we move TLPs in and so forth? After an assessment, JRA confirmed that TLPs can start moving in. And yesterday, TLPs started moving in to sort out the water issue, because water as well is very critical. Imagine, Julie, you're staying in a 14th floor of a
Mm.
building, and you have to go down with a bucket to fetch some water. We want to resolve the water issue as speedily as possible, and we
Okay.
will,
Yes, carry on.
yeah, we will be giving residents update as we move along, because the teams have been busy yesterday. We're using technology to even assess the impact on our water infrastructure, so that we do not just open water, you find that there are other defects that happen because of the explosion. So we have done that assessment of checking the pipes through technology, using some sophisticated technology that was placed there. I don't know what they call it, but you can literally see through the pipes and check the defects and check if there are any cracks and so forth. And so far, our infrastructure is solid. It's only at the point of the blast where we are doing repairs of the infrastructure that got affected.
That's wonderful news indeed. And may you guys continue in this vein and obviously restore the morale of not only the people that live and work in the immediate confines of that blast, but for all of us,
Yeah.
residents of the Greater Gauteng area. Now, in wake of this devastating explosion, we understand that City Power has taken certain urgent measures to ensure resident safety and to prevent further damage. What does that exactly mean? And I do know there are quite a number of those buildings in that precinct that is occupied by residents. People are living there. In the past, it used to be office blocks. That's no
Mm,
longer the case. Lots of people
mm.
are using that as their residence. What is being done to ensure their safety? And can you confidently tell me and the rest of our viewers and listeners that the people that are occupying those buildings, their safety is definitely not being compromised? How,
Yes.
and if you agree to that statement, what was done to come to that finality, to that conclusion that yes, Bree Street had exploded, erupted, call it what you will, but
Yeah.
the residents are very, very safe. The buildings in the immediate area are still very, very solid,
Mm.
and the people living there are not in danger.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. One of the immediate things that we had to do as the city post the explosion was to really move in with engineers to check the integrity, the structural integrity of the buildings. There were two elements: it's the issue of the structures themselves, and the issue of, if we're talking gas, the air in the area in terms of air pollution, in terms of having impact on the health of the people. So we moved in swiftly, and we assessed all the buildings. We assessed floor by floor, from the basement parkings to the highest floor of each building, and there are no defects that were found. And the engineers certified that the structures of the building are still intact, and there was no shifting in that regard. We had to move further and go into, because what happens when you have gas leaks, they sometimes get trapped mainly in your basement areas, and start moving up into the building itself. So we moved in and did some tests on some of the basement buildings, and did what we call air ventilation in all the buildings to make sure that we remove any traces of any gas that might be harmful to the health of the people. So that work has been done, and we are confident that through that work we have saved um, the people of Bree Street from any recurring harmful dangers that came out of the explosion. But having said that, we also wanted to make sure that we are not putting people at risk by, because people move around and people like to take chances. By ensuring that we barricade that area, we have put a fence um, with an access control so that people cannot enter there, because that area has now declared a construction site. Because if you see where the road has been open, you can even fear that you will fall inside that
Oh,
those trenches. So
uh,
we had to do a whole lot of safety checks. It's physical, it's structural, and it's also environmental health checks that we had to do for the safety of the people.
Okay, so Nthatisi, um, let's look at the situation. How many buildings have been affected and are cordoned off? How many residents in total are we talking about that obviously are impacted by the explosion, the road explosion, for want of a better word, in the Bree Street precinct? Number two and number three, what is the city of Johannesburg doing? Do you have a immediate and a short-term plan to try and go around the rest of the Joburg CBD, just to check that those streets are safe, that there aren't any gas leakages, so that we don't have a similar occurrence in any other street within the CBD?
Okay. The In the immediate area of the blast, we're talking about 10 buildings. But as the city, we're not saying only that those 10 buildings, because we're taking that the entire street, Bree Street, should be looked into. And make sure, because when we do the rehabilitation and rebuilding, reconstruction of the road, we're going to start from the beginning towards the end. So for us, it's very important that we focus on that. But part of the work, just to give a sense of what we've been doing, part of the work is really to cover the entire city center in terms of the network underground. We've been using drones underground to inspect
Wow.
all the areas. We've been moving east, west, north, and south of the city, just to make sure. And it's part of this investigation to really go to the source, because what tends to happen with um, gases of this nature, especially the gas that gets detected there, which is methane gas, which at times gets generated through the sewer system. You need to really establish whether um, there was a pressure that moved it to a particular area that where the blast happened, and then there was a spark that happened. So it's a whole lot of, we've roped in a whole lot of experts. There are experts
Mm.
that deals with explosion. There are experts that deals with gas. There are expert that deals with structural integrity. So those guys have been working for the past 7 days, because we're talking, it's the seventh day today,
Mm, mm.
to really get to the bottom of these issues, because we don't want a recurrence of this incident in the city of Johannesburg.
In the meantime, the residents of those 10 buildings are still living in the buildings, and you can confidently reassure all of us, including the residents, that their lives are not at risk. It's almost back to normal for them. Is that how I'm reading the situation?
Yeah, the people are living in the buildings, because you remember when we started, we were, even in terms of our planning, having an evacuation plan, but we never had to use that evacuation plan because of the work that was done in terms of ensuring structural integrity, and the work that we are currently doing to restore the services that they desperately need. And in the meantime, we had to do your water tankers and your mobile ablution facility, so that we help them in the meantime. But since yesterday, after the restoration of power, their work is starting to, their life is starting to come back to normal, and we are hoping that by today or later tomorrow, we should be able to have restored their water as well.
Okay, let me ask you my final question then. We've been hearing you talk about methane gas that obviously is produced in the sewer system, and that seems to be uh, possibly the root cause of the explosion of Bree Street and the precinct in and around that area. We've also been hearing talks about or suggestions that the reason we had the explosion was due to the Zamazamas, their underground excavations and them using gas and all of their activities that might have been the reason why we're sitting with the situation. Can you confirm that that might be also one of the contributing factors?
Now, the issue of the Zamazama has been excluded because we went in there. There's no sign of any activity. There's no sign of living in those areas that we've inspected. So that theory is out of the equation. The likelihood and the theory that seems to be the one that we're really pushing and investigating until we get to the bottom of it is really this issue of the methane gas and how it was trapped to such an extent that maybe it might have caused the explosion. But it's work that is ongoing, that is very technical and very confusing. Until we get a final report, we are just speculating at the moment.
Okay, finally, I want to make a statement and a very brief response from you. For the first time in a very, very long time, with all of our dramas playing out in South Africa, with the load shedding and everything else that's been going on, for the first time, I have noticed such amazingly speedy response from the city of Johannesburg. It was all hands on deck, and just with the way everything was handled was very, very professional. And I feel very comforted by the way the situation was handled by COJ. Why is there not this type of political will regarding all of the issues with us here in the city, like cleaning up the area, and bringing it back to the world class city status that it has enjoyed in the past? Why do we not have that energy and will to be able to do all of that? If you guys were able to address this situation so very efficiently, it does
Now,
indicate that where there's a will, there's a way.
now we appreciate the positive response and comments from you, Julie. And we strive at all times to try and serve the city's residents. But you must remember that one of the things that um, has been plaguing the city over a couple of months ago is this issue of stability.
Mhm.
We are now certain that politically we are stable. We should be able to respond and serve the people with speed that you've just explained now. And I'm hopeful that going forward, you'll see amazing things coming from the city of Johannesburg.
I sincerely hope so. Emergency response vehicles as well, like your fire brigades, and other such, response teams. We do hope and pray we're going to now see you guys taking all of those service utilities to the next level. Thank you indeed for talking to us. We will be keeping a keen eye on the developments. Um, on this particular situation and other situations as well. And we'll start talking with you on a more regular basis to bring more positive and
Yeah.
encouraging news for the residents of Johannesburg.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Julie.
Thank you. Go well and God bless.
Thank you.
It's 27 after 8 o'clock. News and views on Salam Media. In a minute or two after the ad break, of course, we are going to be talking with Hassan Largett.